So a compare question is a bit more straightforward in the sense you are showing how things are similar and different. And this is probably quite intuitive to you, but if you're asked to compare text, it's important that you identify both the resonances and the dissonances. Don't just look at the similarities, don't just look at the differences. The better students will look at the two texts together in one paragraph. So think of it like you are writing a mini integrated essay. However, what I'll do is I'll go through two sort of ways to structure a compare essay for you guys. You can do it as a mini integrated essay. You can also do it a bit differently. So say you've got, actually I'll show you when we look at the first example, which is the 2020 HSC question, a compare question. So I'll show you how to do it there. But yes, you're pretty much writing a mini essay and you need synthesis. You cannot get full marks on a compare question if you've not actually engaged in engage the two texts together. So you need to create a thesis that applies to both texts. Then you need to explore that thesis within both of the texts, and you need to compare, actually draw the similarities and differences with the two texts. So synthesize it. What is being gained by looking at these two texts? Are they saying two different things about this particular human experience, or are they saying the same thing? So directly engage and compare the technical similarities and differences by referencing the text and their composition. So be like, while text 1 represents the experience of childhood in a very positive manner, text 2 contrastingly shows the ignorance that is coated in this experience of childhood and stuff like that, which is observed in blah, 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 blah. So engage in the comparison of both of the texts there, and that's going to get you a really good marks in a compare question here. So got analyze, assess, compare. Similarly, you might also have, with compare, I'll just add on, you might also have a contrast question. Contrast, or even, let's say, distinguish as well. This is very similar to compare. Contrast, distinguish, compare, they're all generally the same thing. You need to be doing that synthesis amongst them. The next thing we're going to look at is a compare 6-mark question. So this is your sort of higher yield question that might be a little bit harder to tackle because it is a compare 6-mark question. Okay, so in a compare 6-mark question, the first thing you are doing is obviously 1 sentence intro that sets up the question. So this is effectively your thesis. And the way I would actually structure this is quite literally like a mini essay, in the sense that I would do this 1 sentence and then I would start a new paragraph as if this was an introduction, a one sentence introduction. Then I would, and yes, use paragraphing and short answers. It actually helps the marker a lot, especially if you've got something like a 6 marker or an 8 marker. If you put your answer in paragraphs, you're going to help your marker out so much more. So 1 sentence intro that sets up the question, and it's your specific thesis that broadly covers both questions, both texts, sorry, it encompasses both texts. Then what you do is start a new paragraph and you get straight into the analysis of text 1. So in this, if it's a 6 marker, what you want to be doing is 3 quotes and 3 techniques. And this is going to be on text 1. You start a new paragraph and you get straight into it. So say, the question is something about the human experience of childhood, right? You'll be like, your thesis might be something along the lines like the human experience of childhood is very unique, yet at the same time is a collective one that is, governed by the emotions of nostalgia and innocence. And then you'll be like, text 1 represents this through the first person narrative voice. So you say that as your broad thesis statement, then you start a new paragraph, and then you get straight into the analysis of how text 1 represents your thesis, and bring in the analysis straight away with 3 quotes and 3 techniques, and try and make sure that each of the quotes and techniques are building off the last one. Then what you do, next step, is start a new paragraph again. And what you do is analyze text 2 and make reference to text 1 through synthesis. So again, you're looking at 3 quotes and 3 techniques. So sort of think of your module A structure, but condensed into a 6-mark question. You talk about text 1, then you start a new paragraph, talk about text 2, and include a lot of synthesis to text 1. You don't need to analyze text 1 again, but you need to be drawing the connections there. So the other thing I would say here is, this is a tip that not a lot of people know, but your text, so say you've got text 1, text 2, you might actually have question 1 be about text 1, question 2 be about text 1 and 2. So you may have 2 questions that are asking about the same text, because one might be specifically about one text and another question might be about that text compared with another text. Now, what I want to highlight to you here is that questions are marked independently. So what we mean by that is, if you've used analysis for text 1 already in another question, you can reuse that analysis. So save yourself some time. If you found in text 1 a really good piece of analysis and you've already used it, don't be like, I need to find another piece of analysis. Reuse it in another question if it comes up. So this is because the questions are marked independently. So analysis can be reused as long as it's answering the question. So save yourself some time in doing that. In short answer, your questions are marked independently. Different people, different markers will mark different questions. There may be a marker in the HSC, like marking 10, who's marking solely question 1 of short answer. Another marker is marking only question 2. So you can reuse the analysis 100%. Okay, so that is how you would do a little compare question. The last thing I would say is you have the option of, doing a little concluding statement, but to be honest, I would just avoid this. It doesn't really add too much. If you want, you could put in a little reader reflection here, but I would say that for something like a compare question, you should be doing it throughout your reader reflection. But yeah, if you want, you can add a little concluding statement at the very end of it. So that's how you tackle a compare 6 marker.